So for my presentation, I'll be looking at scenario two, which is focused on personal development programs in an academy setting. So before we delve into a bit more detail on the curriculum design and the programs, I thought it was important to set a bit of a context in terms of the club and the fictional club and team that we'll be utilizing for this example. So the important kind of factors here are that it'll be a tier two level club, so the equivalent of a championship team in the UK, and we're focusing primarily on the under 23s team, the professional development phase. Some additional information that will be useful as well is that the professional development programs would be already in place for the within the youth development phase of the club. So when the players are coming into the PDB phase, these are already set up for the majority of the 20 players that are coming through. So now if we look into what are the key aims and why are we doing this in terms of with our players? So I think one of the most important things and the key aim of developing a professional development program is to set an individualized program to support the development of the person and not just the player. So the player will have their own individual programs with their coaches and focusing more on the technical, tactical stuff. So it's important we focus on the individual's personal development. So why is this also important? So this is really important, particularly in this final phase of the academy, to help them set themselves up as best possible for their next phase of life, whether that be in the first team, out to another club on loan, or potentially in a new environment outside of football. So now then, how do we look to do that in this final phase? So I think the key important aspects to focus on is the defining some clear objectives with the players at the beginning of the season. So this will then allow them to understand what are their key focuses for that particular season, but then also the key important aspect with these players at this stage is driving accountability because they need to be proactive about their futures as they've already experienced opportunities throughout the club in terms of in the YDP phase, they've gained experience on different areas. So it's important now that they're proactive and they drive their own accountability of their careers. So what are the kind of key pillars or key areas that underpin the curriculum design? So I've detailed these for some of the key areas because I think they're obviously really useful and really important to kind of always reframe and always bring back to the top of your mind when developing the curriculum. So obviously this is the final phase of their academy time at the club. So it's important from a career perspective that they're getting the support they need and have the knowledge they need on where they can take their careers moving forwards, whether that be in the first team in football, other clubs, or even in different areas. Also, it's important from a financial perspective as well. These players are going to be, or these individuals are going to have very varying financial experience as they move on, because some may go into high levels of football, earn a lot more money. So it's important that they understand how to deal with the money and they get an exposure to what's available and how they can manage it. Then also the players that might be moving on and earning less money, so they understand how to manage it. Then also it's important then they understand what opportunities they have outside of football as well. Because obviously, as we know, the majority of players won't make it to first team environments or maybe will struggle to make a career out of football. So it's also important to underpin education and the development of skills in this phase as they fine tune those ready for the next phase of their career. But then finally, one of the key aspect is understanding the player's well-being. It's a very turbulent time in their career, so it's important this remains a key pillar when designing a curriculum because obviously it's going to be a very challenging period for them moving into this final phase. So now also it's just looking at the support. What support can we source to develop the program and then effectively roll out the programs with the players? So if, for example, you have good resources internally, how can you actively use those to develop your program and then support the curriculum? So, for example, can you lean on the sports science department to provide testing data about the player that they might need for other clubs if they move on? Can you ask the analysis department to provide clips for the players, for example? Also, it's important then to consider the external resources. If the club maybe doesn't have a lot of resources internally, what are kind of some of the support that we can source that can become a fundamental part of the program? So this could be the alumni program, so bringing in players that used to play at the club to come back and then provide kind of a mentorship system with the players as well from that side of things. Or that could even be external sources like the PFA. So now if we're looking at kind of delivering and implementing a program. So the way I've broken it up is into three different periods. So the start of the season, mid-season, and end of the season. So I think it's important at that beginning of the season, so in July in preseason, is to sit down with the player, with the multidisciplinary team, so the coaches, sports science, medical, etc., to define a clear plan and define some clear objectives for the season. So what are they looking to achieve across the season, and then how can we support them doing that? So it's really important we set that at the beginning because then that can be the reference moving forward to any conversation we have with the player. Then we'll have 6 weekly check-ins with the player care department directly. So it'll be a one-on-one with the player and the head of player care to understand how the player is progressing with their objectives and evaluate further support they might need to achieve those objectives. Then, as we can see, we'll have a mid-season period where we can check in how they're progressing and again evaluate the support. And then we enter that end of season phase where we get an understanding of how we can then support them in their next phase of life, basically an offboarding, really, in this case. So this is obviously one of the most important phases because it's the one where they've probably found out if they're getting a contract or not. And so this is going to be a really crucial phase to understand how we can support them moving forward and ensure that they have the support necessary to go into the next phase. So finally, just some kind of key considerations. So obviously you may have obviously the best plan in place that on paper and it sounds great, but it's really important to consider some key factors when designing it. So firstly, do you have the buy-in of the staff? Are they involved? Are they committed in supporting the player? What phase is the player in? So are they in their first year of the contract or their final year of contract? Because this will obviously impact how you individualize the program. What is their support network like? So is it a player potentially that's just moved to the country, so maybe they need more support, or is it a player maybe that has a lot of support externally? So it's important to understand that to individualize the program. Then finally, what resources do you have? Do you have the effective resources to carry out what you want to do with your plans? So it's really important to understand those factors when designing a curriculum in the professional football environment.